Welcome guys to another video. Today we'll be talking about the chain rule and the power rule. These rules will allow you to find the derivative of a differentiable function of another differentiable function. So let's get started with the chain rule here. So let's say that you're asked to find the derivative d dx of f of g of x. So this would be equal to f prime of g of x times g prime of x. So to review, if we're asked to find the derivative of f of g of x, it would be equal to f prime times, or f prime of g of x times g of x, or g prime of x, my bad. So let's do a few example problems here. So let's say we're asked to find the derivative d dx of cosine of 2x. So take a minute to try to solve this problem by yourself by applying this formula right here, and come back when you think you're ready. So I'm assuming that you did the problem, but if you didn't, here's how you would do it. So f of x in this case is cosine, and then g of x is 2x. So f prime of cosine, also known as the derivative of cosine, would just be, and that would just be negative sine of x. But in this case, just be negative sine. So negative sine, and then the next part of our formula is g of x. So g of x in this case is 2x. And then our next part would be g prime of x. So the derivative of 2x is 2. So then 2. And then right here, we can actually rewrite this as negative 2 sine of 2x. So if we're asked to find the derivative of cosine of 2x, then it would be equivalent to negative sine times 2x times 2 equals negative 2 sine of 2x. Okay, let's try one more here. So if we're asked to find the derivative of, and let's say we're asked to find a derivative of secant, and let's say it's pi of x. So take a minute or two to try to figure out this problem, and come back when you are ready. Okay, so I'm assuming that you tried the problem for yourself, but if you didn't, again, here's how you would solve the problem. So first you'd have to identify f of x and g of x. So then in this case, f of x is secant, and the g of x is pi x. So the first part of the equation is f prime. So then f prime in this case would be the derivative of secant. So the derivative of secant is the same thing as secant times tangent. And then we would have to first or next do g of x. So in this case, g of x is pi x. And then we have to find the g prime of x. So since g of x is pi x, the g prime of x would be pi, because pi is the constant here. So times, or sorry, wrong color, times pi. So again, we can rewrite this as pi, or negative No, pi, my bad. Pi times secant of, and since these two are multiplied to pi of x, it would be secant pi of x right here. And it would also be tangent pi of x. And let's write that in green again. So if you asked to find the derivative of secant pi of x, the answer would be pi secant of pi of x times tangent pi sine of x, or pi x. Tangent of pi x. My bad. So it would be pi times secant of pi x times tangent of pi x. So now that we have the chain rule down, let's go to the power rule. So I'll just write power rule, I guess, right here. Power rule. Oh yeah, and then also there will be practice problems linked in the description where I show you guys some practice problems and how to do them in another video that I will post soon. So, power rule. So, for the power rule, it is very similar to the chain rule. So, let's say we're asked to find the derivative of, and then we'll call it, I guess we'll use these colors again. U, and then it's u to the power of n. So if we're asked to find the derivative of this, the answer we would give would be n u, and this u is to the power of n minus 1, and then this is all multiplied by the derivative of u, so call it u prime. So take a minute or two to write this down in your notes and copy it, memorize it. It's going to be on the AP test. Make sure you know it. Alright, so if you copied it down, let's try to do a few practice problems here with it. So for our first practice problem, let's say we're given that y equals sine, and I'll write it in blue, sine cubed of x. So in order to solve this problem here, what we have to do is we could first rewrite it actually. So this is the same thing as, let me rewrite it. This is the same thing as sine x to the power of 3. So if we're asked to find the derivative for it, which we will be asked that, of course, so y prime equals, then we could apply the rule we learned up here. So first we look at the n, and in this case n is 3, so we'll write that down. 3 times u, and in this case u is sine of x, so I'll write that down as well. Sine of x, n to the power, or to the power of n minus 1, so write that down as well, n minus 1, and since n is actually 3 in this case, we can replace that n, so 3 minus 1, and this is all multiplied by the derivative of u, and since u is sine of x in this case, the derivative of u would be equal to cosine of x. So let's write that in. And we use orange up here, so we'll use orange down here too. Cosine of x. So if we were to simplify all this, we would get, and let's simplify it, y prime equals, and we get 3, or actually I'll write it in the same colors. We get 3, no, I'll just write in yellow. Nah, actually, no, I'll write in the same color. 3 sine x, and then since this is a 3 minus 1, it'd be 2, and this is all multiplied by cosine of x. So we could take this a step further and rewrite the whole thing as 3. Oh, and this cosine of x, we'll rewrite it in orange as well. We can take it a step further and rewrite it as 3 cosine of x times sine x squared. So that's going to be all for this video. In total, we learned the power rule. We also learned the chain rule. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you learned something for it or you succeed in your next test, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more calculus and math tips. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.